So we've seen LEGO feature German engineering in the past, namely the Volkswagen camper van or the Beetle for example. But you know what? I've always felt that that list has been a little bit too incomplete. Until now, let's say, finally, the epitome of a German sports car, we'll be looking at the Porsche 911. So after all these years, LEGO has finally came out with the Porsche 911. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, I would have imagined that it should have been released at least a few years back, specifically right after the Ferrari F40 was released, which for me, in my opinion, until today, it still stands as my favorite LEGO car set out there. This set here is quite unique, where in fact it's a 2-in-1 set where you're gonna have the option to build the 911 Turbo, which is much more sporty, or the 911 Targa, which is a much more classy or fancy looking vehicle. But in my case, I built and chose the 911 Turbo specifically because I have this small LEGO Speed Racer set here, and I would have thought that having this displayed together with my Porsche 911 would have been just amazing. So this set costs $150 with a little bit over 1,400 pieces in total, and it mainly caters to the 18 and up age range. So coming up, we're going to be looking into more detail on the features of this set, starting off with a B-roll. The first thing that you're gonna notice when you look at the Porsche 911 here is the 70s and 80s look, especially if you look at the bumpers. The roof of the 911 comes at a slight angle, giving you that sporty look, and it doesn't end there, it's also noticeable if you look at its headlights. On the front you'll see its plate number, the Porsche badge, and again, its iconic headlights. If you don't know, actually, the trunk of the Porsche 911 is located at the front end. So if you take a look here, here's the compartment, and it actually fits in the roofing of the Porsche Targa if ever you chose that version. Once you open the door of the 911, you'll see a lot more details, starting off with the side panel of the car, going into the brown leather interior, and then you'll also see a very detailed speedometer. Now taking a look at it from the view of the other front door, you'll see a lot more detail from the interior, starting off with the gearbox, the handbrake, and also similar to the real thing, the front seats are also tiltable. On this shot here, we're taking a look at the rear seating arrangements, and as you can see, similar to real life, this is really a very small space for someone to sit in. Here you'll see the iconic spoiler at the back, which sits on top of the engine. It looks somewhat elevated, and the reason for this is because Porsche needed the space to fit in the turbocharger, similar to how it is in real life. Cool really that LEGO did not leave this detail out. The lights at the back neatly wraps around the engine compartment area that features the Porsche and the turbo badges. Similar to the front, you'll see the plate number, there's also a muffler at the back, and also the orange iconic blinkers. So once we take a look inside the engine, you'll see a lot more detail at its different components. You'll see the intercooler, you'll see the air intake, you'll see the turbocharger specifically. It's really the whole package. It actually comes with black 5-spoke racing rims, which actually fits well with the sporty look of the 911 Turbo. Additionally, the tires of the 911 aren't just for show, they actually work, and as a matter of fact, they really run smoothly on any surface. I said it before and I'll say it again now, I really love the addition of having one of the most iconic German sports cars ever. There's just something special with the 70s and 80s sports cars. I just feel that there's a rawness to them, a lot more character for example, especially when you compare it with the cars these days. Unfortunately, they don't have that type of character anymore. And luckily for us, with LEGO's release of the 911, we're gonna be able to experience it again, reminisce it again, and see it at least again in the flesh. One thing that separates this set from the rest of the pack is the ability for it to choose between two different variants, right? The 911 Turbo or the 911 Targa. It really depends on the owner. You have the freedom to choose what you want, and I think that's really what makes this set special. As a matter of fact, I know people who bought two pieces of this set, mainly to build the Turbo and the Targa and have them displayed together. One thing that I failed to mention was the inclusion of the gift with purchase owner's pack that came together with this set when it first came out. It included a card holder, included a certificate of ownership, also pictures of ads when the 911 first came out in the 80s. And these are the type of things that makes me appreciate LEGO more, for example. It gives you the feeling of ownership, a memorabilia type, collector's item type of thing. So if this is something that's also interesting for you, feel free to take a look at one of my videos in the past. I did a review on it. I'll post it on the link above. So all in all, I would say the Porsche 911 is a very good set. If I had to compare it, for example, with recent vehicle set releases of LEGO in recent years, let's say, I would say this would be probably at the top of my list, for example. Of course, there are different sets that came out with Technique as well. I'm not a big Technique fan, but maybe some Technique fans would think otherwise as well. But in my opinion, non-Technique vehicle sets, this is one of the best here. So if you're a LEGO fan and you enjoyed this video, you know what you need to do. Hit the subscribe button, my friend. Hit it right now. Anyhow, that's all I have for today. See you till the next video. Peace!